Welcome to the Collective Podcast, where Cruz doesn't know I turned the podcast on because he's right now currently battling his kitty cat, who is beating down the door. Hello, all my wonderful friends. Yes, Ash, it's podcast time. Yes, Lumpy, always nice to see your my Pookie Bear Wumbo girl. Hi, hello, Cruz.
I'm a
I've
professional, okay?
I've decided to start the live while you're
Oh,
battling
yeah.
the cat because I did not update the intro for the regular show. So I was like, well, this will serve as the intro because
Was it the Boys Club intro?
the Boys Club intro is updated. I didn't update the regular one. So,
Okay.
it be that way. I don't know why TikTok won't let me go live either. So that's kind of annoying. But
Maybe it
here
hates
we
you.
are.
You ever think about that?
What happened?
I said maybe it hates you. You ever think about
It
that?
low key does. But at the same time, I also gave up. Well, not so much gave up. I think I just I reached my peak. I got 2,000 followers, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty much
Oh,
it.
damn.
I'm good to go.
What was my TikTok at? Now that I think about it,
Aren't you at 10K?
Let's see. I'm at 5,760, and the last video I posted was February 19th. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic.
I blinked and I missed the intro. No, I'm saying I didn't make a new intro. That's what I'm saying.
There is no intro. You know, when you watch a TV show and it just kind of starts the episode, that's how you know it's a super serious episode, actually.
Right. Or they'll do something. Yeah. It's a cold open.
You can't have fun.
Or they'll do something like this, we'll be like, hey, what's the name of that show? Oh yeah, it's called I totally forgot.
I haven't seen that one before. That was great.
I didn't know that Cutie did the voice for that, so I was totally expecting but I'm pretty glad about that. I made a video earlier because this liberals be doing this all the time, bro. They'll be like, where's everybody who said that they were going to do revolution? They're not doing it. Where's revolution, buddy pal? And I'm like, you're looking in the wrong places, dog.
You're looking at the DNC. You're looking at the bus that went to go argue with Charlie Kirk,
Right. But even if you were to just engage with only mainstream stuff, such as my new favorite show, Andor, you will very quickly realize that any activity, right, is not advertised. We're yappers for sure. We've never hidden that fact. You know what I mean? And we don't do anything else. But even if you were to do something else, you're not going to be on TikTok and be like, here's my group. This is where we're located. Dog, what?
Yeah. The only way that you could feasibly do that, where you're like, here's what we're doing, and I'm on TikTok, is if you have established such a stronghold, such a base of operations that you're effectively operating as a different country. There's just there's nothing in the United States like that.
Right. I mean, you're operating, completely outside of the law. You know what I mean? And you have to assume that when you do something like that, there's no respawn. There's no double second chances. You have to be the absolute most disciplined, the absolute most organized that you can be. So us going on TikTok and being like, haha, you're a bozo that's not the rev. And anyone who says it is you're just wrong.
They're either wrong or they're a grifter and they're trying to get money from you.
Or they have a bus.
Or a bus.
Yeah. Anyway.
Any gas money.
We got the new Kollectiv logo up in the corner. If y'all haven't noticed, I'm pretty sure you all have, but
and I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Nico made it. So very cool, very fresh, little Pac-Man guy. Oh man, everyone's coming in. Hi, Dora. Hi, Ingrid. Yellow.
Look at all these Kollectiv members here in the comment section.
The Collectivites. Anywho's, so today we wanted to get sad and kind of talk about and update y'all about what's going on in Gaza because I feel like with a lot of you did catch that, Ash. I feel like with a lot of with so much Trump mania and nonsense happening in the States, I think a lot of people have sort of forgotten about Gaza, forgotten that it's still something that is, the genocide is still ongoing. It's getting worse. Since we're not on TikTok today, we can be a lot more open.
It's like they've either forgotten or they've outright turned against it because the election didn't go the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, there's a lot. Go ahead.
I was like, I remember, I don't know if you remember, like the people, like right after the election, they're like, oh, Trump won, and they started going to Starbucks again.
Yeah.
And it's like,
there's a lot of liberal nonsense when that was going on because, a lot of people, liberals, they see Trump as sort of the main antagonist in their life. And once Trump got reelected, they were like, oh, well, all this other stuff that we stood up for doesn't matter anymore because, now we're in danger. But the fact of the matter is you always were in danger.
You didn't stop being in danger.
Right. You just didn't want to see it. Just updating the Discord real quick.
Boop, updating the Discord?
Yeah.
Join the Kollectiv Discord.
Yeah, join it, please. We're so lonely. All our ops keep leaving.
You will get bullied if you're an op. I just
absolutely.
You will get roasted. You will, if you say something's goofy, you will get bullied.
Yes.
We're
even if you don't, honestly, we just low key bully people anyway. Speaking of bullying, where's Evil Angloid? Where have they been? I'm gonna tag them right now.
I'm gonna tag them.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I feel like we're procrastinating. I feel like we are filibustering because we know we have to talk about very depressing shit, but we don't want to because it's depressing.
Yeah, did this goober leave? What was his name? I thought it was Evil Angloid or Evil Tanky. I guess he's gone. Oh well. Damn. I'll come after him after a while. Nice. Actually, Ash, do me a favor. Hit him up. I've never been bullied by Kollectiv. I disagree. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's get to the sadness. So yeah. Basically, when Trump got elected, a lot of attention went away from the genocide happening in Palestine, perpetrated by the settler colonial project Israel, supported by the United States and generally the entire Western order. And I feel as if it's important to bring it back up again because as we're seeing more overt fascism rise within the States, we are seeing it's like we're seeing two ends of a timeline, so to say, right? Like we have the rising of fascism or the more overt rising of fascism in the United States, and then we're seeing the end product or as you were saying, Cruz, the final solution taking place in Gaza. And both of these things are interconnected. There's no way that you can Ivan, you forgot you allowed him to have his name back. I don't remember his original name though. Now I do. But anyway, these things are inexplicably connected. You cannot separate these things. So I think it's pretty important we, go ahead and we take a look at that. And go ahead.
I was gonna say I also want, people watching, like the choice of words there that I use and that you're using, the final solution is deliberate. Because just in the same way as a certain party in Germany in the 1930s, it didn't start with massacre, right? That was not the initial solution to what they considered a problem, but a final one. And that is literally where we're at now with Gaza. That's where Israel is with Gaza and will continue to be going forward into like the West Bank. And after those, if no one intervenes in those, will continue into the rest of the Middle East.
Absolutely. All right, let's You ride the sad train, everyone.
Oops.
What's absolutely wild about that is that somebody would look at that and be like, I don't see the problem. They have tins and pans and beans.
Oh, look, there. Someone had a full thing of like spaghetti or something. It's like someone had a full thing of spaghetti. What's the problem? Like that. It shows, the empty store shelves. It showed the empty market shelves. People waiting in line, begging. It didn't show it in that video, but I had seen a video earlier, and I mentioned it to you right before we went live, of a kid banging on his pan and screaming, it's been 56 days since aid had entered Gaza because Israel is actively blocking aid to Gaza.
Right.
And he was just like, I just want to eat. I just want food. I just want to eat.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like, okay, cool. These guys are getting beans, they're getting a Tupperware full of spaghetti, right? But why are we in a situation? Why are we even looking at a situation where people are required to wait and beg for food? And this is more than likely a day where a lot of the people we saw on camera got food, but that doesn't mean that's happening every day. Especially
that's not a daily occurrence. No,
right. Especially when you're saying like, oh, it's been, that boy was saying it's been 50 something days since aid came in. You know what I mean? And that's also a day or event or an hour where people are not getting bombed while trying to get the food. You know what I mean? Let's not forget just a couple, maybe 6 months ago, there was a report, or no, maybe longer than that. I don't remember anymore. Where
it's happening so frequently that it's difficult to know exact timelines or keep it straight. Like in my head, I can barely keep it straight. Like I think about the flower massacre.
That's exactly what I was trying to think
referencing.
Of. Yeah.
And for those that don't know, it's literally, they said, okay, here's flour. And then once everyone gathered, they just started shooting and bombing.
Right. Like it's literally, like, I'm not laughing at the situation, but it's literally cruelty at its apex. There's no way around it. I mean, it's the same tactics used for hunting animals, using food for bait, and then waiting for the deer to come, and then just annihilate.
And that's how the Israelis see the Palestinians, is human animals. That's what they said right after October 7th. It's like, what did the guy say? He said, we're not fighting we're fighting human animals.
Yeah, I think that was something Gallant, Yosef Gallant. I don't think it's Yosef.
Which he's not in power. He doesn't have his position anymore.
Yeah, but we directly referenced that in the documentary.
We did.
Yeah, and that's the language of fascism. That's when you have a machine that is built, and in order to maintain its structure, it requires the ultimate enemy. That is the dehumanizing aspect of it.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like the flower massacre by putting these children in this situation where you have to beg for food. And if you look in the video again, who's mostly in that video? Children, women, and old people. Yeah, that's who the victims are.
I don't know if you noticed in that video, not the video itself, but in the corner, did you see Bison's video? Is it? I never know how to say her name.
I always said Bison. No, I didn't. Going to pull
up in the corner. Yeah, because if no one's seen that, that's a great one. It's okay.
Go ahead.
Wording choice, right?
Okay.
I'm saying great in the sense of like it's important.
Mm.
But essentially, she put out a final message.
Oh wow, I have not seen that. All right,
for the people of Gaza.
Keep yapping while I figure
And
it out.
so she basically was like, "We're out of food. There's no food coming in, and the Israelis are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is it. This is where we're at. So either
Yeah.
the people there end up in a neighboring country, or they die.
Right.
There's no in between. There's no middle ground."
I'm gonna look it up because it's not here in the
Yeah, if you type in her
anymore.
username, but yeah, they are being exterminated. We are at that level of final solution, like genuine final solution. Within probably the next 6 months, I would not be surprised to see a news headline that says Israel has claimed Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
The buildings will be leveled, the people will be gone, and then after that we're going to start seeing the reports, which I'm sure we'll touch on later, but where Trump and the current administration and various other capitalist entities talking about rebuilding Gaza but turning it into like resorts and things like that.
I have the video.
Okay. Can't hear it. I don't know if anyone else can hear it, but I can't hear it.
Okay. What happened? What happened? Give me a second.
Technical difficulties.
Always when you do this stuff live. Okay. Stop sharing.
Fuck it. We're doing it live.
That's what we do, baby girl.
Here, I'm not on my account where I can pull up the comments, but Lumpy made a comment now, looking at some pictures today of the starving, and reminded me of Yemen a few years back, which Yemen, of course, is also in the news because Yemen has been a staunch supporter of the Palestinians in Gaza, which has made them an enemy of the United States.
You want to touch on a little bit on that? What's going on?
So the Houthis they recently, as a result of Israel saying we're moving into Gaza and we're on that final solution, Yemen has started an air embargo for Israel. So planes aren't coming in, planes aren't going out, and if they do, they get shot down essentially. And Yemen has gotten really good at shooting down U.S. Reaper drones, as well as the other day. It kind of got buried with the stuff happening with India and Pakistan. But Yemen shot down a U.S. fighter jet.
Two of them.
Two. Oh, was it two? I only saw the one, but
so they in like the last 2 weeks, one happened and the other happened, and the U.S. is claiming that both times in order to avoid missile fire, the ship had to turn, and then the planes fell off of the boat. And the thing is, I'm no Navy expert, right? But an aircraft carrier, especially like a Nismus class aircraft carrier, is giant. That thing is not turning on a dime, bro. Like,
having grown up in a military area with aircraft carriers, we build aircraft carriers and we build the aircraft. Those things are tied down.
Yeah.
When they're not in use by extremely high tensile wire. Those aren't falling off unless the ship turns. Even if the ship turns upside down, they're not falling off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. What happened was them bitches got shot down, and the United States can't admit that. Right. Because again, it would give Siri, stop it, because that will give too much credit to their enemies. Okay, so I got the video now. I figured out the problem, so we're gonna watch it.
570 days since
this is a long video, by the way.
It's barbaric. Hey, this is Bisan, and it's been 570 days since Israel started its barbaric genocide against the Palestinian people. And almost 70 days since Israel decided to prevent any food or aid or any products from entering Gaza. Our shops are empty, supermarkets are empty. There is no food. There's no food. People already started to die because of hunger. We are losing people with disabilities, elderly, and children in a daily basis now. The weakest people with adverse lack of nutrition, even on the adults, because we are not eating enough. Even me, I used to eat twice with access to food all the day. Now I eat once. There is no food. People on the streets, my people, are walking without being able to recognize what is around them. They're tired. They're walking like blind people. They're walking while they are not able to see each other's, to figure out what is happening around. Our bodies cannot hold this anymore. We're so tired. Israel is weaponizing the hunger. The ICRC, the WFB, the UNRWA, all the INGOs, you know and you don't know, that are working on Gaza Strip now, have been like warning the entire world of a forced starvation, and that Israel is illegally weaponizing the hunger and using the aids to put more pressure on the Palestinian people to have or to achieve other political goals, like emptying Gaza Strip, like pushing all Gazans to flee Gaza Strip, where they are still deciding where and figuring out when, while we are dying because of hunger. While the entire world, or while we are in 2025 and the entire world is suffering of overconsumption and overproductivity, not the opposite. There is plenty food, everything outside in the normal world, and we're just dying because there is no enough flour, bread. It's basics. And soon we will not have water. Do you know why? Because Israel is also preventing the fuel. There's no fuel. There's no fuel. Tayyip, we are cooking on fire. We're walking, no more using vehicles, but we're about extracting water and the desalination plants, etc. How? By which energy? There's no fuel. Soon there's no water. There's no food. We're losing people every day. And no one in this entire dirty planet is doing anything. No one. Everyone is talking about Israel's right to defend itself against Yemenis, against Syrians, against Lebanese, against Palestinians in West Bank, in Gaza, everywhere. What is this? Haram, haram, haram. This is haram. My people needs dignity, and dignity means food, sufficient water, and then a ceasefire. Israel is weaponizing hunger, and this happened only in the darkest eras of our humanity, which is the Second World War. And another thing, Israel is not only fighting the empty stomachs of Palestinians. Israel is also fighting other families and besieged people in West Bank too. So it's not only the empty stomachs of Gazans, it's also the empty stomachs of the people in the West Bank. Because today, just today, the last family in Tul Karim refugee camp.
I'm just pausing it and talking real fast just because I don't know. Last time we left a video play for a long time, YouTube took us down, so I'm just adding commentary just for the sake of the live stream.
Transformative and stuff.
Yeah, editing it, you know how it goes. But anyway.
After 91 days without food, electricity, or water, fled the camp. Israel has been besieging them. That family, small family, a mother, an elderly and her daughter. Her daughter was sneaking to find her some food and water for the 92 days. But now they were the last family in Tulkarm refugee camp. Israel is literally in front of you, using only hunger to kill the Palestinians, to annihilate the Palestinian people and the Palestinian cause, and to steal their lands in the West Bank and Gaza, in Gaza Strip, in the last Palestinian lands on historic Palestine, and no one is doing anything. Hunger. This is Israel's dirtiest weapon. Hunger. Yes, it is bombing our children and mothers and elders on the tents. Yes, it's testing new weapons on us. Yes, it's evacuating large areas and taking over them. Yes, it's blocking and closing areas like Rafah. Yes, it keeps threatening us to flee us from Gaza. Yes, but still, hunger is the dirtiest weapon. Israel knows this and keep doing this. And you know this and keep watching this. My people is dying. And if I had anything to do to prevent this or to change anything, I would do it without making a video, without asking you for anything, because I know that this entire world is helpless and weak. But I can't do anything. I'm besieged. I will face this starvation as my people soon.
I just
Yeah.
don't know what to say. you know, like, uh, because she's absolutely correct that when food, access to food and access to water is such a common thing for so many people, including ourselves here on the podcast,
Mhm.
that we don't really like, you don't really consider the actual facts, you know, of like what is actually happening, right? Because like we'll complain in the Discord or on TikTok or whatever and be like, I'm hungry, I didn't eat today, I forgot to eat, let me
Mhm.
get a pizza, you know. But when you have nothing, I mean, I don't know how to describe it to people other than just, I guess, forcing people to watch that video, like what it's like to absolutely have no idea what you're gonna do when you don't eat or you
It's
don't
like,
have anything to drink.
what do you do? Like, you're sitting here. I could right now. I could be like, I'm hungry.
Right.
I go to the grocery store. I go to Chipotle,
Yeah.
pizza, maybe get a burger. I have a lot of choices of what I'm gonna eat, but never in my life have I ever been like, am I gonna have food tomorrow?
Right.
Am I gonna have food next week? Let alone the grocery store is being empty for 70 days, and that video is now old.
Right. That video's from the end of April or the mid of April.
Like, what
Yeah.
is
Go ahead.
true starvation like? And we're not
I mean,
going to show the pictures. We're not going to show the pictures because we decided not to show pictures because it's not necessary. But some of the pictures coming out of Gaza right now are horrific.
I mean, it's a Holocaust. I mean, and we've been saying that from the start, but it truly is. Like, if you take, if you could literally take like a photographic Venn diagram of the Holocaust, what's happening in Sikot, and what's happening in Gaza, and they will all pretty much share the same aspects of
the Venn diagram's a circle,
right? Of basically what it means to exterminate people. And the thing is too is like I was just having this conversation with Angry in Discord about like as uncomfortable as we are in the imperial core, being poor, struggling to pay rent, whatever. And I'm not saying that, Of course, there's people who are homeless in the States. Of course, there's people who, suffer from malnutrition. But the majority of people within the States still eat something. You know what I mean? It might
Yeah.
not be great. You might just have a 7-Eleven hot dogs and that's what you can feed your kids, but they're still eating.
The food is there.
Right.
It's just blocked by a paywall. It's not blocked by an armed embargo.
Right. And yeah, like Doris saying, in Congo and Sudan, it's virtually the same thing is happening. And the reason why this happens, right? Again, if we're trying to bring it back to the debate, I guess, so to say, between communism and capitalism, being an anti-imperialist, like the reason that these things happen, the reason why there's always this need for the machine to exterminate a group of people is because when capitalism is a cancer, and when it cannot sustain itself anymore, it will cannibalize, and it needs to find something to destroy, to take over, to consume. So much like Nazi Germany, a new market. Yep. Much like Nazi Germany, much like the United States pre-Manifest Destiny, it needs a place to go to spread. This is why Israel has kept the Palestinians in their situation for as long as they did, and now are finally moving in for the kill, because as Israel was shown its weakness back in 2023, it could no longer rely on that facade of fake security. So it needs to be aggressive and expand and destroy in order to literally ethnically cleanse this location. And you'll see, like Cruz said, you're going to see things like new resorts, beaches, condos, and whatever. And the remaining Palestinian people there, those people will now be subjugated in a new way, which will be, kitchen workers, maids,
imprisonment.
the imprisonment, the work, the work that people in the West demean, that they consider the bottom, the absolute bottom, because capitalists need workers to do that stuff. So in a couple years, and if you have friends or coworkers who go down to the beaches,
if you have friends in a couple of years.
If you have coworkers or whoever who go down to the beaches in Palestine, just know they're literally doing it on the graves, on the skulls of children who were starved to death.
And it's not like a massacre or a genocide that happened centuries ago, right? It's not something where it's like, oh yeah, I read this area was cleansed a millennia ago, and now there's like beach resorts or something where it's like, yeah, not much we can do about that, and it sucks. That's interesting history. We are seeing the genocide take place live on TikTok.
Yep.
I've seen videos, not like I mentioned, the child screaming about food, banging his pan. I've seen videos of children carrying their siblings' corpses for miles because they don't know what to do, their feet bleeding. I've seen people point down at the ground at a skeleton of someone that was killed at the very beginning. Google Maps just updated their satellite imagery of Gaza as well, and it's just decimated. It's gone. All of that is up to date. That's modern. And they're going to build condos and resorts there, a White Lotus hotel. And those videos are still going to be on the internet. You could be at one of those resorts and watch the video from a few years prior of the child that was massacred right below the feet of, or right below the pool that you're swimming in.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's not saying this in any way that like, you know, what happened, you know, in the States is okay, but like, you know, obviously being from New York, you know, I go by a lot of places that are very obviously named from indigenous people who were
Yeah.
there, and it's like, yeah,
Hey,
you know,
Coco.
that happened, you know, and yes, it's still happening now, okay, but like this specific settlement happened in like 1803, you know, this is happening today right now as we're talking,
Mhm.
as we're bullshitting on the podcast, like, you know, so it's just something for all of us to remember,
And
you
who
know.
and who really know, like, who knows exactly, like, there's stuff happening right now as we talk about it on this podcast that we don't know about yet. It hasn't, the
Exactly.
information hasn't made its way over here.
Yep. Exactly. Hey Kogo, thanks for coming. Just likewise, the West pushes more violence as a response to resistance of the global South. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Zionism and the current administration and the current trends of Israel, it's Lebensraum, it's manifest destiny.
Hmm.
It's the exact same thing. Like, we've seen it before, and chances are, you know, in the future we will see it again.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted that this is gonna be like, you know, once Israel has finally claimed Gaza, that this is gonna be like the end of their
The fight's over.
expansion. You will see. I mean, we're already seeing it. We're already seeing airstrikes happening in Syria, which will be an interesting contradiction that comes up because the United States backs the new Syrian jihadist government, but Israel already seized land and has been bombing in Syria. So that's going to be that will be a conflict that will brew there, and then incursions into Egypt, because Israel, the Zionists have already proclaimed their desire to build greater Israel. It's the same way
Yeah.
the United States had.
You can pull that map up because they showed it at the Netanyahu showed it at the UN, the Greater Israel map.
Sure.
And it'll also be interesting because one, like, U.S. stockpiles of weaponry are already nearly depleted. As the economic conditions here worsen, there will be less and less to give to Israel. And then with that map, you see how it's encroaching on the border of Iran. And Iran has already shown that they can breach the Israeli defenses like the Iron Dome
Exactly.
with no issue. Like, almost zero issue.
Right, but even looking at some of these other maps down here, like they're all pretty much the same exact kind of territory. But like, even though this is the United States settler colonial project expanded, you know, they're going to run into major problems when it comes to expanding into Saudi Arabian territory, into Iranian territory, into Syrian territory, and that's sort of the strange optimism that we can find when it comes to looking to the future and looking at the weaknesses of our enemy, because if it is Israel's ultimate goal to expand into these regions that are allied with the United States, does the empire allow its project to interfere in its own goals?
I think the more important question is, which of those projects is more important to the empire?
And in our analysis, you know, that is what we have to determine amongst ourselves, and, you know, act accordingly. That was a map's plan for expansion. So
That's
that map
official.
is, yeah. So that's an official map. That's Greater Israel. So like, it's the same kind of context of like when the United States was established. You know, after the War of 1812, right? So like, well, I'm not saying that it was established after the War of 1812. Those were two different thoughts. After 1812, you know, the United States basically, you know, it was the
I got
13
what you meant.
colonies, yeah, and a few different territories. And then they were looking at like, okay, so like, what can we do now? There's so much, there's this whole frontier. What can we do with this? You know, it's the same kind of concept. I need to drink something, so we're gonna play another video.
Yeah, just for context, Coco, that was a map plan, and that was a plan that was presented to the UN by Netanyahu.
Israeli occupational soldiers did a gender reveal celebration by blowing up a building in Gaza. And I realize that sounds so insane that you're probably thinking that that has to be made up. But no, not only did they do it, they recorded it.
Why?
I want you to really think about the process that goes into doing that, right? A group of Israeli soldiers had to not only conceptualize that, but find a building in Gaza, rig explosives on that building, run away from it, and detonate it on camera, all for the sake of a cruel, sick joke. And not only are they doing it, they're enjoying it. One of the soldiers in that video actually yelled, "It's a boy," after the detonation. They are leveling buildings in Gaza in the midst of a genocidal campaign for jokes and are enjoying every single minute of it. And the really critical element that you have to understand here is that that is not an isolated event. Israeli occupational soldiers have been demolishing homes joyously on camera for well over a year now as they continue a genocide within the confines of a concentration camp they are maintaining. Video after video, photo after photo of a deranged occupational force that is primed for genocide and doing everything it can to enact one. Videos like that should tell you everything you need to know about the reality of Zionism and Zionist colonialism in Palestine and the region at large. That is a sort of twisted, belligerent violence that can only occur in a truly fascistic, genocidal society. Something worth thinking on, I think. But yeah, as always, free Palestine, salamu alaikum, and have a great day.
I'm muted. Friend of the show, James Ray.
Love you, James.
Always coming out with really informative information. That's what we mean when we say this issue isn't complicated. Like, anyone who says that just simply doesn't care, doesn't know, or is staunchly in support of Zionism.
Yep.
Because yeah, exactly. There's no way something like that is only purely intentional. There's no accident. You know what I mean? And these people are enjoying it. It's the same. This is the same reason why I don't believe the argument. You know, the Wehrmacht, you know, the Nazi, you know, regular army, they were just following orders. I don't buy any of that shit. I don't, because this is what fascism breeds.
Yeah. Like, the most you could potentially say about Nazi Germany is the general population may not have known the extent of the Holocaust, right? Maybe. Because there wasn't an internet. There's none of that here. Every Israeli citizen can see that. Every single one of them.
They literally are. I mean,
they're seeing it. They're liking the posts. They're celebrating it.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no denying it.
Right. Exactly. These people. I mean, you can go back even before the escalation, and you know there would be people in Israel like who would literally go to the frontier and like
the theater,
watch Palestinians get bombed as if it was funny, you know, like that. This is what happened. Now, what am I trying to say here, right? Because people can very easily intentionally try to misconstrue what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
I'm going to misconstrue it on purpose.
Okay, when you have a society, a fascistic society that requires its citizens to fall in line with a colonial project such as this, it breeds this kind of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's not contingent on religion. It's not contingent on race. It is contingent on socialization. And when you have a fascist government that has been in power since its inception for, 60 something years, you're going to have a population of people who are in support of that, but you're also going to have people who move there who will be in support of that.
They move there to be in support of it.
Right. Let's not forget my own fellow New Yorkers going to Israel to be like, well, I have my brownstone in Brooklyn and I also have my property in Israel. Like, brother,
Fuck you.
you know,
Like,
yeah, like Doug. What are you talking about? It's like it's literally that. It's almost a video caricature of when the guy's like in his fucking accent. He's like, if I don't steal it, somebody else will. Like,
yeah. You know the YouTuber Noah Samson.
yeah, of course.
Right? So he's had a couple of videos where he's talking about specifically other YouTubers, you know, like Ethan Klein, talking about how they're in support of the genocide. And I remember a segment in one of the more recent videos where he had shown street interviews that someone had done with just random Israeli citizens, and like every single one, no matter who he went up to, was just like, oh yeah, just kill them all. We're not killing them fast enough, you know. I want to kill them all. I want to personally kill them all. And then they were talking about like the children, and they're like, well, what about the children? Like, oh, they're just going to grow up and become terrorists, so we might as well kill them now.
Yep.
And that's just that's the normal way of thinking, and it's because of the fascistic line in the settler colonial state that presents that, like, we are supposed to be here, therefore everyone else cannot be.
Yeah. I'm just taking a gander at one of these articles here. All right, let me pop it up on the screen. How are we doing on time? 46 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
I always worry.
Is everyone tired of us yet? Has everyone cried enough yet, or should we continue to cry together?
You want to cry?
I think we want to cry more.
Yeah. Israel all but admits it's pursuing ethnic cleansing in Gaza is its new plan. Israel has unveiled a startling new plan. This is from May 7th for escalating its domination of the Gaza Strip that all but openly declares an ethnic cleansing agenda meant to permanently alter life and demographic in the enclave. The signs that things were headed in this dark direction have been clear for a while, but Israel can't be so plain spoken, in part because President Donald Trump is not just supporting Israel, but also celebrating neocolonialism and its legitimate foreign policy goal. It's actually kind of crazy that they said neocolonialism on what is this, MSNBC?
MSNBC, yeah. That's where we're at. It's like these terms that before were just kind of in these like political circles and stuff like that. That's just mainstream now. That's just what we're. That's just
NBC News reported that Israel's security cabinet has unanimously approved a plan to seize all of the Gaza Strip in what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said will be an intensive military operation aimed at defeating Hamas. The Israeli army is calling up tens of thousands of reserve soldiers for the effort. Netanyahu said the plan to take over the territory means the Israeli military would no longer enter and then exit from combat zones, but do the opposite. Indefinitely control any territory it seizes, and the plan calls for a mass displacement of Gazan Palestinian population in the southern part of the territory. The far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich said that an Israeli victory in Gaza would see the territory entirely destroyed and its residents concentrated in the south, from where they would start to leave in great numbers to third countries. Smotrich and his colleague, Israeli National Security Minister Itman Ben-Gvir, have in the past also called for new Israeli settlements in Gaza. I mean that's basically it, dog. There's no
look at that.
There's nothing else to be said. Like it's ethnic cleansing. I mean, we've been saying it, but like now the Israelis are saying it. And before, you know, for those who maybe weren't aware of the extent of what was going on beforehand, didn't know, like, Israel would always use this flowery language around what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, most of the time they do. In your video, you pointed out quote by Heinrich Himmler, talking about, like, we don't say it out loud. We don't talk about it. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's in the CCOT video you had done.
Yeah, he basically, I can't believe I'm saying this. Basically, Himmler said that,
To quote Heinrich Himmler,
to quote Heinrich Himmler, basically, there's an agreement that they're gonna
someone's
do
gonna clip that.
genocide. Yeah, it's gonna be me. They're gonna they're gonna do genocide, and then but they're never gonna really say what they're doing after the fact that they have agreed that that's what they're gonna do privately. But now, that was also 70, 80 odd years ago now. So now we're at a point where, because fascism won in World War II and through the Cold War, where they don't have to hide it anymore.
That's the stage we're at.
Let's look at some of the comments. I've already broken down bad yesterday when it comes to crying overall is evil shit, etc. Yep. First woman prime minister herself was like, yeah, no such thing as Palestinians. Yep. I'm never tired of you, Cruz, but I do wish to cry more. Flowery language all sounds familiar. They tell some truth and hide it down with other stuff, other news. Yep, basically. Oh, goodness
when
gracious.
you no longer have to hide genocide, there are only two ways a genocide ends: intervention or success.
And shame on the world for not intervening. And I understand to an extent, right? That and probably the only regional power that could really do anything in a much more significant way would be like Iran. But Iran also doesn't want to go to war with the United States. But on the other hand, when it comes to a group of, an organization like Ansar Allah or the Houthis have done probably the most internationally for Gaza.
It's one of those we have to ask the question, because once a major power, I was asked at work, what do I think is going to be the moment World War III kicks off? And I keep saying I think it already did.
Yeah.
But to what they really mean is when is a major power going to fight another major power? And the second and the part of the reason all these countries are afraid to do anything is because the second they do, that's when what most people would consider World War III, when major powers start lobbing missiles at each other. It starts as soon as someone intervenes. But we have to ask ourselves, do we want to live in a world where we don't intervene?
Right. Exactly.
Because our grandchildren are going to look at us and say, what did you do during this? Because it's going to be in the history books. What did you do during this? Just like we talk about German citizens. What did you do during the Holocaust?
Right. Exactly. Same fucking thing. Well, we're about an hour here at our depression extravaganza. Hard it started in 2019, 22, and 2023. I think
that's when I would say the map started getting arrowy at that point.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so even when it comes to World War II, right? Pretty much the Western sort of agreed upon starting point is World War II started in 1939. I would even say it started in 1930 when Japan invaded China, because all these things dominoed into each other. So when it comes to when did World War III start, some people would even argue the Cold War was already that. But if we were to sort of look at it from a post Soviet Union world, I would say for me, probably the war in the Ukraine is probably really what the true
starting point,
right? Because that is when international relationships really started to change between post-Soviet Russia, the United States. China economy has grown extensively, directly competing with the United States. And then as the United States becomes more unstabilized and fascism grows more and more, and it's starting to look for these holes to fill throughout the world. Like in the case of Israel trying to support their Solar Colonial project, one of these places, like the frontier of the Russian-Ukraine war, I could definitely see that being one of the opening conflicts.
I want to finish with two thoughts. One,
Mhm.
there's a film people should watch called The Zone of Interest. It's an A24 film, and it's about the commandant of Auschwitz living like right by the camp, and they're living like this happy life. But in the background, you can see like the smokestack right from the chambers as bodies are burning. Good film to watch. It's a great film. Depressing as fuck. Very relevant to what's going on. The Zone of Interest. It's from 2023. It's very recent. On a funnier note, but coupled with a not funny event, as most of us know, the India and Pakistan conflict kind of took a major escalation over Kashmir the other day. But I was talking to someone, and she had been asking, like, what do you think of major World War III point, kind of that same conversation. And I said, or she specifically asked, what would be the Archduke moment? Like what really like true, like Archduke Ferdinand was killed, and then all of a sudden World War I like really escalates all over the place, right? So what was that moment? And I said, it might be worth looking at the India-Pakistan Kashmir conflict. Not 10 minutes later, I got the breaking news update that India had struck the Pakistani military outpost. And I was like, did I manifest that? I might have manifested.
You're the main character, Cruz.
I'm the main character. It's like a not funny thing that happened, but it's kind of funny how it transpired in my personal life.
When you're a Chad Marxist like you are, you know, you have the burden of being right all the time.
The burden of being absolutely correct. 24/7.
I'm going to put a link in the description for donating to many different Palestinian families. As you can see, they need anything that you can give.
Anything and everything you can give.
Please at least do that, you know, if anything. The rest of what I'm about to say is bullshit. Watch my CCOT video if you want to also be more sad and see.
Make sure you like and subscribe, smash that notification bell so you get alerted to all of our uploads here.
We are the revolution. No, but for real, donate. Fucking someone's gonna watch this ending and be like, wow, I can't believe they really think that they're that important.
Look at these fucking grifters over here.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to be in the public VC. Bye, gang.
Bye, everybody.